I've always loved days like this. There's something so calming about the rain. It's like the world slows down a little and we finally get a chance to breathe.
Yeah, I get that. Rainy days are the best for just sitting down and thinking about stuff, aren't they? It's like the perfect excuse to be a little more introspective. So, what's been on your mind lately?
A lot, honestly. I've been thinking about how we measure success in life. Like, what does it really mean to be successful? I feel like we're always running after something jobs, money, achievements. But sometimes I wonder if that's even the point.
Oh man, you're going deep today. But yeah, that's a huge question. I've had moments where I've thought about that too. Like, is success really about how much you accomplish, or is it more about how happy you are in the process? I mean, we all want to achieve stuff, but at the end of the day, if you're not happy, does it even matter?
Exactly. I feel like society puts so much pressure on us to achieve these big milestones, like getting a high paying job or buying a house. And don't get me wrong, those things are important, but I wonder if we sometimes lose sight of what really makes us feel fulfilled.
I think that's a pretty common feeling, honestly. It's so easy to get caught up in the rat race. You're working hard, trying to keep up with what everyone else is doing, but you don't stop to ask yourself, is this actually making me happy?
Yeah, and it's funny because when I look at the happiest moments in my life, they weren't necessarily the biggest achievements. It's more the small, everyday things that stick with me, like spending time with family, traveling, or even just enjoying a quiet moment like this one.
Same here. Some of my best memories are just hanging out with friends, going on road trips, or even cooking a nice meal at home. I think those moments are when we feel the most alive because they're real, you know? There's no pressure to impress anyone or hit some milestone.
Totally. But it's hard, right? I mean, we're constantly bombarded with messages about success and how we should be living our lives. Social media doesn't help either. It's like everyone's always sharing their highlight reel, and you start to feel like you're not doing enough.
Ugh, don't even get me started on that. It's so easy to fall into the comparison trap. You see someone post about their promotion or their fancy vacation, and suddenly you're questioning your own choices. But we've got to remember that social media is just a snapshot. It doesn't show the whole picture.
That's true. I've been trying to remind myself of that lately. Everyone's journey is different, and what makes one person happy won't necessarily make someone else happy. But it's hard to shake that feeling sometimes.
Yeah, it really is. I guess the trick is figuring out what success means for you. Like what makes you feel genuinely fulfilled, regardless of what anyone else is doing. For some people, that might be climbing the corporate ladder, and for others, it might be starting a family or traveling the world. There's no one size fits all definition.
I love that idea. I think we all need to take a step back and redefine what success means for ourselves. For me, I think it's about balance. I want to do meaningful work, but I also want to have time for the people and activities I care about. I don't want to be so consumed by work that I miss out on life's little moments.
That's a great perspective. It's funny because I've been thinking a lot about balance lately, too. I used to be all about work, 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 but I've realized that it's not sustainable in the long run. Burnout is real, and if you don't take time for yourself, you end up feeling empty, no matter how much you achieve.
Oh, burnout is definitely real. I've been there before, and it's not fun. It's like you're running on fumes, just going through the motions, but you're not really living. That's why I think finding balance is so important.
Agreed. And I think we have to give ourselves permission to take breaks. Society tells us we should always be hustling, but I don't think that's healthy. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is rest and recharge.
Yes, I used to feel guilty about taking breaks, like I wasn't being productive enough. But I've realized that rest is just as important as work. You can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Exactly. You need time to refill that cup. For me, I've found that taking breaks actually makes me more productive in the long run. When I come back to work after a weekend of relaxing or doing something fun, I feel refreshed and ready to tackle whatever's on my plate.
Same here. I've started making a conscious effort to schedule time for self care. Whether it's going for a walk, reading a book, or even just watching a movie, I try to do something every week that's just for me.
That's awesome. I think we all need to prioritize self-care more. It's not selfish, it's necessary. You can't show up for others or do your best work if you're running on empty.
Definitely. And I think self-care looks different for everyone. For me, it's all about finding quiet moments to recharge, but for someone else, it might be going out with friends or hitting the gym. The key is figuring out what works for you.
Exactly. It's all about tuning in to what you need. I've started meditating in the mornings, and that's been a game changer for me. It helps me start the day with a clear mind and a sense of calm, even when things get hectic later on.
I've heard such good things about meditation. I've tried it a few times, but I find it hard to sit still and quiet my mind. Any tips for a beginner like me?
Oh, trust me, I was the same way when I started. My mind would be all over the place. But the thing about meditation is that it's not about having a completely blank mind. It's about noticing when your mind starts to wander and gently bringing it back to your breath. It's a practice, and like anything, it gets easier with time.
That makes sense. Maybe I'll give it another shot. I like the idea of starting the day with a sense of calm instead of immediately jumping into work or checking my phone.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a try. Even just 5 or 10 minutes can make a big difference. And there are so many apps out there that can guide you through it if you're not sure where to start.
I'll have to look into that. Thanks for the suggestion. You know, it's funny how these little changes like meditating or taking breaks can have such a big impact on our overall well-being.
It really is. I think we often overlook the small things because we're so focused on the big picture, but those small habits can add up to something really powerful over time.
Absolutely. I'm learning that happiness and success aren't about reaching some huge milestone. It's more about the little moments and the daily choices we make to take care of ourselves and enjoy life.
You're so right. It's like we spend so much time chasing these big goals, but what if the real success is in how we live our everyday lives? How we treat ourselves, how we connect with others, and how we find joy in the simple things.
Exactly. That's what I want to focus on moving forward. Just living in the moment and appreciating the little things. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle, but I don't want to look back one day and realize I missed out on life because I was too busy chasing something else.
That's a great mindset. I think if more people adopted that way of thinking, we'd all be a lot happier. It's not about achieving everything at once. It's about enjoying the journey and finding fulfillment along the way.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remind ourselves that it's okay to go at our own pace. There's no rush to have everything figured out. Life is a process, and we're all just doing the best we can.
Definitely. And you know, I think the beauty of life is that we're always evolving. What makes us happy now might change in the future, and that's okay too. It's all part of the journey.
Exactly. It's like we're constantly growing and learning, and that's what makes life interesting. I used to think I have to have everything figured out by a certain age, but now I used to think that by a certain age I needed to have everything sorted out. But now I'm realizing that it's okay if things are still unfolding. The journey itself is what makes life rich and meaningful.
That's such a healthy way to look at it. I think the pressure to have everything figured out by a certain point in life is overrated. Everyone's timeline is different, and there's no right way to live.
Exactly. And I think part of the reason we feel so much pressure is because of the expectations placed on us by society, family, and even ourselves. It's like there's this unspoken rule book about how life should go, but I'm starting to realize that it's okay to write your own rules.
Totally. I mean, life would be pretty boring if everyone followed the same script, wouldn't it? I think the beauty of life is that we can make it whatever we want it to be. There's no one-size-fits-all formula for happiness or success.
You're right. I think once we let go of the idea that we have to live up to someone else's definition of success, we can finally start living authentically. It's all about figuring out what works for us individually.
Exactly. And honestly, I think that's where true fulfillment comes from. Living in alignment with your own values and desires, rather than trying to fit into someone else's mold.
Yes, it's all about being true to yourself, even if that means taking a different path than what's expected. I think that's something I'm really learning to embrace right now. Absolutely. And it's liberating to realize that you don't have to have all the answers right now.
And that's a powerful realization. I think once you start living for yourself instead of for other people's expectations, everything changes. You start making choices that actually bring you joy and satisfaction, rather than just checking off boxes on some arbitrary list.
Life is an ongoing process of discovery, and that's part of what makes it so exciting.
I couldn't agree more. It's like we're all on this journey and we're constantly learning and evolving. And honestly, that's what makes life interesting. There's always more to discover about ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly. I think that's what makes life so beautiful. It's not about reaching a destination, but about embracing the journey and all the ups and downs that come with it.
Well said, Emily. I think you've just hit the nail on the head. Life is about the journey, not the destination. And the more we embrace that, the more fulfilled we'll be.
Thanks, Jack. I feel like this conversation has really helped me put things into perspective. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the pressures of life, but it's important to remember what truly matters.
I'm glad we had this talk. It's good to take a step back and reflect on these things every now and then. It helps us stay grounded and focused on what's really important.
Absolutely. And I think the more we have these conversations, the more we can support each other in finding balance and happiness in our own lives.
Agreed. It's all about having those meaningful connections and conversations that help us grow and evolve.
Definitely. I'm really grateful for this chat. It's helped me see things from a new perspective, and I'm excited to keep exploring what success and fulfillment look like for me.
Same here. It's always good to reflect and realign with what truly matters. Here's to figuring it out one step at a time.
One step at a time. Sounds like a plan.
You know, Emily, after our talk, I've been thinking a lot about what we said, about taking things one step at a time and figuring it out as we go. It's comforting in a way, but I also wonder, how do we stay motivated when the road feels unclear?
That's a good question. I think part of it is reminding ourselves that it's okay to not have everything mapped out. It's like hiking a trail. You might not see the entire path ahead, but as long as you're moving forward and staying curious, you'll eventually find your way.
That's a nice analogy. I guess sometimes we feel like we need to see the whole trail before we even start walking. But really, all we need is the courage to take the first step and trust that the rest will unfold in time.
Exactly. And, I think celebrating small wins along the way is important too. Sometimes we're so focused on the big picture that we forget to acknowledge the progress we've already made.
That's true. We're always looking ahead, but it's just as important to look back and appreciate how far we've come. Even if we haven't reached the destination, each step forward is still progress.
Yes, and sometimes progress doesn't even look like what we expect. It might be a personal realization, a new perspective, or even learning from a setback. Growth isn't always linear, but it's still growth.
That's a great point. I feel like sometimes I'm too hard on myself when things don't go as planned. But if I shift my mindset to see setbacks as part of the process, maybe they won't feel so discouraging.
I think that's a mindset we could all benefit from. Setbacks aren't failures, they're just part of the learning curve, and they often teach us more than the successes do.
Yeah, I've heard that before. It's just hard to remember in the moment, especially when it feels like things aren't going according to plan. But maybe that's where flexibility comes in, being open to adjusting the plan when necessary.
Definitely. Life rarely goes exactly as planned, but that doesn't mean we're off course. Sometimes the detours lead us to places we never would have found otherwise.
I like that. It's a reminder that there's more than one way to get where we're going. Maybe the path we think we should take isn't the one that'll make us happiest.
Exactly. And sometimes the universe has a way of nudging us in a different direction, even if it's uncomfortable at first. But often, that discomfort is where the growth happens.
I've experienced that before, where something felt really challenging in the moment, but later I realized it was exactly what I needed to grow. It's funny how that works, huh?
Yeah, it's almost like life's way of pushing us out of our comfort zones. We rarely grow when things are easy and predictable, but when we face challenges, we learn new strengths.
I guess that's part of what makes the journey so meaningful, right? It's not just about reaching the goal, but about everything we learn along the way.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that the journey never really ends. There's always more to learn, more ways to grow, and more opportunities to discover new parts of ourselves.
That's such a hopeful way to look at it. It's like no matter where we are in life, there's always something to look forward to, even if we don't know exactly what it is yet.
Yes, and that's what makes life exciting, even during the hard times. There's always potential for something new and unexpected.
I love that perspective. It makes the unknown feel less scary and more like an adventure.
That's the spirit. Life really is an adventure, and while we can't control every twist and turn, we can choose how we respond to it. And that's where the real power lies.
I feel like this conversation is helping me shift my mindset. Instead of being frustrated by uncertainty, I'm starting to see it as an opportunity.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's amazing what a little shift in perspective can do. And remember, you're not alone in this. We're all figuring it out together.
That's comforting to remember. Sometimes it feels like everyone else has it all figured out, but really, we're all just doing our best.
Exactly. Social media and outside appearances can be deceiving. Everyone has their own struggles, even if they don't show it. We're all on our own unique path. That's it. And the more we focus on our own path,
You're right. It's easy to get caught up in comparisons, but at the end of the day, the only journey we should be focused on is our own.
the more at peace we'll be. It's not about keeping up with others, it's about finding what brings us joy and fulfillment.
Speaking of joy, I've been thinking about picking up a new hobby, something just for fun. Have you ever had a hobby that was purely for yourself, without any pressure to be good at it?
Yes, I actually started doing pottery last year. At first, I was nervous because I wasn't great at it, but then I realized it's okay to do something just for the joy of it. It's become a creative outlet where I can just relax and be in the moment.
That sounds awesome. I've been thinking about doing something creative too, maybe painting or photography. It would be nice to have an outlet where there's no pressure to be perfect, just to enjoy the process.
I highly recommend it. Having creative outlet is so freeing. It's a way to express yourself without any expectations, and that's where the magic happens.
I think I'll give it a try. I've always wanted to learn photography, but I've been holding back because I was afraid I wouldn't be good at it. But maybe that's the point, just to do it for the love of it.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you're good at it or not. What matters is that it brings you joy. The more you let go of the need to be perfect, the more you'll enjoy the process.
I love that. It's funny how much we limit ourselves because of fear of failure or judgment. But once we let go of that, we can experience so much more freedom.
Totally. It's all about embracing imperfection and realizing that the process itself is valuable, not just the outcome.
I feel like I've been so focused on outcomes lately, especially with work and personal goals. But maybe I need to shift my focus to enjoying the journey a little more.
I think that's something we could all do more of. It's easy to get caught up in striving for the next achievement, but sometimes we forget to appreciate the present moment.
That's true. It's like we're always in a rush to get to the next thing. But when we look back, the moments we really remember are the ones where we were fully present.
Exactly. Those are the moments that really stick with us. The ones where we're truly living in the moment, not worrying about the past or the future.
I want more of those moments in my life. I think that's something I'm going to focus on moving forward, being more present and enjoying the process, whatever it may be.
That sounds like a wonderful intention. And the best part is, the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. It's all about creating habits that bring you back to the present.
Do you have any tips for staying present? I feel like my mind is always racing with thoughts about the future.
It's definitely a practice, but one thing that's helped me is mindfulness. Just taking a few moments each day to breathe deeply and focus on the present moment. It can be as simple as noticing the sounds around you or how your body feels.
That sounds doable. I've heard about mindfulness before, but I've never really practiced it consistently. Maybe I'll start incorporating that into my day.
It doesn't have to be anything big. Just little moments of mindfulness throughout the day can make a huge difference. It helps ground you and brings you back to the present, especially when your mind starts to wander.
I like that. I'll give it a try. I think it'll help me stay focused on what matters and not get so caught up in the noise.
Exactly. And the more you do it, the more you'll start to notice the little things, the small moments of joy that we often overlook.
That's what I'm looking for. More moments of joy, even in the small things.
And they're all around us, if we just take the time to notice. It's amazing how much beauty there is in the everyday moments.
You're so right. I think I've been so focused on the big picture that I've been missing the beauty in the little things.
It's easy to do, but the little things are what make life rich. The way the sun feels on your face, the sound of birds in the morning, a good conversation with a friend, those are the moments that matter.
You're right. It's time I slow down and appreciate those little moments, the things I've been taking for granted.
It's a great start, Jack. Once you get in the habit, you'll find that even the mundane can feel more fulfilling.
I hope so. I've always felt like life was rushing by, and I didn't even stop to breathe.
We all feel that way sometimes. But once you start intentionally creating those mindful pauses, you'll see how everything changes: your mood, your mindset, even your energy levels.
That sounds like a relief. I'm ready for that shift.
I'm excited for you, Jack. I think it's going to open up a whole new way of seeing things for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and stay tuned for the upcoming episodes to keep improving your English. And remember, listening, practice, and improve.